All right, so you took politics, you took other issues. It's time for us to get updates from business. And here we start with something from our labor front. As organized labor says, it is skeptical government will lay off workers during the implementation of the first phase of the IMF bailout. Although government is expecting the second tranche of the bailout, organized labor wants government to implement the essential recommendations and ignore the decisions by the IMF.
Secretary General of the TUC, Dr. Yauba, expressed this skepticism at a forum to discuss the implications of the IMF bailout on workers. He recalled the marginal decline in the subsectors of the economy, which include the agric and the services sector. Citing Greece, he argued implementing IMF programs has left most economies worse off. Currently, government has received over $900 million as bailouts and said workers will not be laid off. But organized labor says it is skeptical about government's assurance.
IMF, when they come to your country, everything can happen. Read about Greece and what happened there. They even forced government to reduce wages, to cut wages, some by 25%, some by 30%. And so we don't want to take anything for granted because IMF is an animal you can't describe. So far, we haven't heard that government is going to declare no redundancy. At least 2015, we reached that understanding. We are hoping that it will continue within the program period.
Director of Research and Forecasting at the Ministry of Finance, Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu, insisted governments will rationalize its workforce rather than laying them off.
Rationalization and by right sizing, we don't mean that we are going to retrench. That's not the objective at all. The objective is to improve efficiency. And remember that even for labor, their primary objective is job security. But you can get job security and continue to remain in job and earn income if you sustain, the single spine.
Already, some labor unions have expressed worry that the implementation of the IMF bailout could affect workers' salaries on the single spine pay policy. But Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission disagrees.
We all collectively, together with organized labor, agreed that we needed to reduce the ratio. And that's exactly what we have done. So if I look at the bailout and the objectives that I've seen, it is clear to me that the bailout is going to help us improve revenue. And if we are going to improve revenue, it means that we are also going to help reduce the tax revenue to wage ratios.
General Secretary of ICU, Solomon Kote, is of the view the IMF recommendations would adversely affect workers before the second tranche of funds would be made available.
When the CD was dropping so high, government decided to pump in $20 million every day for 5 days. Okay, then from nowhere it dropped to 2.99. As we speak today, this 4.3. These are IMF directives. So we are back from where we were about 3 weeks ago, going to sink further. That is why some of us will never trust in the IMF.
Let's do other stories now, and this time we're moving to captains of industry. As the president of the Association of Ghana Industries, James Asare Ejay, says creating a collaborative avenue for the establishment of renewable energy is the key for the current and future power crisis in the country. The AGI has joined the debate on the alternative energy source for Ghana.
The power crisis in Ghana had an impact on the economy. Several workers were laid off as several businesses went down as a result of prolonged and widespread power rationing. The situation is serious due to the fact that most of the interventions appeared not to improve the situation. And the Association of Ghana Industries thinks there is a better way.
Ghana, and for that matter, the sub-region has a huge sunlight availability. If we invest in solar, even though the initial sun cost will be high, but then going for
and reuse it. The sun ceases to be available when the heavens and earth comes to an end. So solar becomes the more stable source of power. Nobody is going to say that the sun is broken down. We can always have it. It's just a matter of technology to collect it.
These were issues raised at a forum to explore the benefits of renewable energy in Ghana, focusing on an Indian example. The forum disagreed with the notion that solar energy generation is expensive and advocated for a clear policy guideline to direct and guarantee investment in the sector.
In other stories, cocoa farmers in the Yasin district of the Central Region have called on Cocoa Board and government to rehabilitate roads in the area to enable boost the cocoa business. The call came during an interactive between farmers and management of Cocoa Board on issues concerning the cocoa industry.
Cocoa, for several decades, has been the major backbone of Ghana's economy and the nation's pride, as it is globally recognized as one of the best on the international export market. Mostly grown in parts of the country, cocoa employs quite a sizable number of people, especially in most rural areas. At Asin Sechem, about 200 farmers have been engaged to familiarize with issues of concerns that lingers in the cocoa growing areas. Francis Ba, Executive Director of Cocoa Health and Extension Division, Ghana Cocoa Board, underscored the need for his outfit to engage its stakeholders.
This district is unique because you have a vibrant young farmer association here. There are already 14,000 members, well over 17,000 hectares, and they represent the new face of cocoa farmers, those who want to make livelihood out of cocoa. So it is good that the young people who are coming here next year in summer will learn, will interact with these people who represent the face of cocoa farmers who are making the right choices, right decisions, and are making money just like any other person is making.
Theophilus Temaklu, president of Asimman Cocoa Farmers Association, commended Cocoa Board for the initiative, adding that the interaction would broaden engagement between the two countries in improving the country's cocoa industry. He also lamented on challenges facing the farmers in the area and the Asin community and asked for needed aid to address them.
School down basis you obey in Fibe in Siena then Cromontimi envy Nquarano Enya baby enku school.
Our roads are very bad and our schools are deplorable. Farmers find it difficult in transporting the cocoa beans to the buying companies. The supply of pesticides and fertilizers are insufficient.
Meanwhile, delegation from the Hershey Company, producers of quality chocolate in North America, and students from Milton Hershey School would visit Ghana in 2016 to interact with cocoa farmers in Asin Sechem in the Central Region.
All right, so that's all we have for you in business this afternoon.